Oil is one of the world's most valuable resources, powering industries, transportation, and homes. But its price isn't just determined by supply and demand. Global events, especially wars, can send shockwave through oil markets. In this video, we'll explore how conflicts, whether regional or global, can dramatically impact oil prices. We'll look at historical examples, the mechanisms behind price changes, and what this means for economies and everyday consumer. Let's begin by understanding why oil is so crucial and why it's often at the center of global tensions. Oil is not just a commodity, it's the lifeblood of modern economies. From fueling cars and airplanes to heating homes and producing electricity, oil touches nearly every aspect of daily life. Because of this, any disruption in oil supply can have far-reaching consequences. Countries with large oil reserves often hold significant power on the world stage, and their actions can influence global markets. This interconnectedness makes oil prices highly sensitive to geopolitical events, especially wars. Oil prices are determined by a complex interplay of supply, demand, and market expectations. The main benchmarks, Brent crude and West Texas Intermediate, reflect global trading activity. When supply is steady and demand predictable, prices remain relatively stable. However, any uncertainty such as the threat of war can cause traders to anticipate shortages, driving prices up even before any actual disruption occurs. This anticipation is a key factor in how wars influence oil prices. When war breaks out in or near major oil-producing regions, the risk of supply disruptions increases. Pipelines may be damaged, shipping routes blocked, or production facilities shut down. Even the threat of such disruptions can cause panic in the markets. For example, conflicts in the Middle East, a region rich in oil, have historically led to sharp price spikes. The fear of losing access to oil supplies makes traders bid up prices, sometimes dramatically. War doesn't just affect supply, it also impacts demand and creates uncertainty. During conflicts, economies may slow down, reducing the need for oil. However, the uncertainty surrounding war often outweighs these effects, as traders worry about future shortages. This uncertainty can lead to volatile price swings, making it difficult for businesses and consumers to plan ahead. The psychological impact of war on markets is often as significant as the physical disruption. One of the most famous examples of war impacting oil prices is the 1973 oil crisis. When war broke out in the Middle East, oil-producing countries imposed an embargo, drastically cutting supply to Western nations. Prices quadrupled almost overnight, leading to fuel shortages, long lines at gas stations, and economic turmoil. This event highlighted how geopolitical conflict can quickly ripple through global oil markets, affecting everyday life far from the battlefield. Gulf War in 1991-991 is another key example. As Iraq invaded Kuwait, fears of a wider conflict in the oil-rich Persian Gulf sent prices soaring. Although the actual disruption to oil flow was limited, the uncertainty and potential for escalation were enough to cause significant price spikes. This shows how even the threat of war in strategic regions can unsettle markets and drive up oil costs. More recently, conflicts such as the Syrian civil war and tensions in Ukraine have influenced oil prices. While these regions are not the largest oil producers, their proximity to key pipelines and shipping routes means that any instability can have global repercussions. Markets react quickly to news of conflict, often before any actual supply is affected. This rapid response underscores the sensitivity of oil prices to geopolitical risk. Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, plays a major role in stabilizing or influencing oil prices during times of conflict. OPEC can increase or decrease production to offset disruptions caused by war. However, internal disagreements or involvement in conflicts themselves can limit OPEC's effectiveness. The group's decisions are closely watched by markets, as they can either calm fears or add to uncertainty. Wars often lead to sanctions, which can restrict the flow of oil from certain countries. For example, sanctions on Iran and Russia have limited their ability to export oil, reducing global supply and pushing prices higher. These measures are intended to pressure governments, but they also have unintended consequences for global markets, sometimes causing price spikes and volatility. Financial markets play a big role in oil pricing, especially during times of war. Traders often speculate on future supply and demand, buying up oil contracts when they anticipate shortages. This speculation can drive prices higher, even if actual supply remains unchanged. The behavior of financial markets adds another layer of complexity to how wars influence oil prices. When oil prices rise due to war, consumers feel the effects almost immediately. Gasoline, heating oil, and even goods transported by truck or ship become more expensive. This can lead to higher inflation, reducing purchasing power and straining household budgets. The ripple effect of higher oil prices is felt in nearly every sector of the economy, from food to manufacturing. Businesses, especially those reliant on transportation or manufacturing, are heavily impacted by rising oil prices. Increased costs for fuel and raw materials can squeeze profit margins, leading to higher prices for consumers or reduced output. Some industries may even face layoffs or closures if costs become unsustainable. The broader economic impact can be significant, especially during prolonged conflicts. Governments often respond to oil price spikes with a variety of measures. These can include releasing strategic oil reserves, subsidizing fuel prices, or encouraging alternative energy sources. While these steps can provide temporary relief, they may not address the underlying causes of price volatility. Long-term solutions often require diplomatic efforts to resolve conflicts and stabilize markets. High oil prices caused by war often accelerate the search for alternative energy sources. Governments and businesses may invest more in renewables like solar, wind, or biofuels to reduce dependence on oil. While this transition takes time, it can help insulate economies from future price shocks and promote energy security in the long run. Manage the risk of price swings during conflicts. Many companies use oil futures and hedging strategies. By locking in prices in advance, they can protect themselves from sudden increases. However, these financial tools are not foolproof and can sometimes lead to losses if prices move unexpectedly. The use of futures adds another layer to the complex relationship between war and oil prices. Many countries maintain strategic oil reserves to cushion the impact of supply disruptions during war. These reserves can be released to stabilize markets and prevent panic buying. However, reserves are finite and can only provide temporary relief. Their use is often carefully coordinated with other countries to maximize effectiveness. Key shipping routes, such as the Strait of Hormuz or the Suez Canal, are vital for global oil transport. Wars or tensions in these areas can threaten the safe passage of oil tankers, leading to fears of supply shortages. Even minor incidents can cause insurance costs to rise and disrupt global supply chains, further driving up prices. Pipelines are another critical part of the oil supply chain. During wars, pipelines can be targeted or damaged, cutting off vital supplies. Repairing pipelines in conflict zones is often dangerous and time-consuming, prolonging disruptions and keeping prices elevated. The vulnerability of pipelines highlights the physical risks that war poses to oil markets. When war threatens oil-producing regions or shipping lanes, insurance premiums for tankers can skyrocket. Higher insurance and shipping costs are passed on to buyers, further increasing oil prices. These additional expenses can make oil from certain regions less competitive, shifting global trade patterns and impacting prices worldwide. Oil is traded globally in US dollars, so wars that impact currency values can also affect oil prices. If a conflict weakens the dollar, oil becomes cheaper for buyers using other currencies, potentially increasing demand and prices. Conversely, a stronger dollar can make oil more expensive for non-US buyers, reducing demand. Currency fluctuations add another layer of complexity to the impact of war on oil prices. Wars highlight the importance of energy security for countries around the world. Governments may seek to diversify their energy sources or build up reserves to reduce vulnerability to supply shocks. These efforts can reshape energy policies and investment priorities, influencing oil prices over the long term. Not all oil-producing countries are affected equally by war. Some may benefit from higher prices while others suffer from disrupted exports or damaged infrastructure. The impact depends on the location of the conflict, the country's role in global markets, and its ability to maintain production during instability. Countries that rely heavily on oil imports are especially vulnerable to price spikes caused by war. Higher import costs can strain trade balances, weaken currencies, and slow economic growth. Some nations may seek new suppliers or invest in domestic energy production to reduce their dependence on volatile markets. Advances in technology can help mitigate the impact of war on oil prices. Improved extraction methods, alternative energy sources, and better risk management tools all contribute to greater market resilience. However, technology alone cannot eliminate the risks posed by geopolitical conflict. Media plays a significant role in shaping perceptions of war and its impact on oil prices. News reports about conflicts, attacks, or diplomatic tensions can move markets even before any actual disruption occurs. The speed and reach of modern media amplify the psychological effects of war on traders and consumers alike. Investor psychology is a powerful force in oil markets. Fear, uncertainty, and speculation can drive prices higher or lower, sometimes out of proportion to actual events. Understanding the psychological component of market reactions is key to grasping why oil prices can be so volatile during times of war. Oil is a global commodity and its supply chain stretches across continents. Wars can disrupt not just production but also transportation, storage, and refining. These disruptions can create bottlenecks, leading to shortages and price spikes even in regions far from the conflict. Refineries are essential for turning crude oil into usable products. Wars that damage refineries or disrupt supply lines can reduce refining capacity, leading to shortages of gasoline, diesel, and other fuels. This can further drive up prices and create additional challenges for consumers and businesses. During times of war, countries may form strategic alliances to secure oil supplies. These alliances can involve military cooperation, joint investments, or diplomatic agreements. While alliances can help stabilize markets, they can also create new tensions and rivalries, influencing oil prices in complex ways. Wars can cause environmental damage, including oil spills, fires, and pollution. These incidents not only harm ecosystems but also disrupt production and transport, adding to supply challenges. Environmental concerns can also influence public opinion and policy, affecting the long-term outlook for oil markets. Wars can lead to lasting changes in oil markets. Countries may seek new suppliers, invest in alternative energy, or change consumption patterns. Over time, these shifts can reshape the global energy landscape, influencing prices and market dynamics for years to come. International organizations like the International Energy Agency (IEA) and the United Nations play a role in managing the impact of war on oil markets. They may coordinate responses, provide information, or mediate disputes. Their involvement can help stabilize markets and reduce uncertainty during crises. Developing countries are often hit hardest by oil price spikes caused by war. Higher energy costs can slow economic growth, increase poverty, and strain government budgets. These challenges can make it harder for developing nations to recover from conflict or invest in long-term development. Rising oil prices can lead to social and political unrest, especially in countries where fuel is a major household expense. Protests, strikes, and even government changes have occurred in response to energy price shocks. The link between war, oil prices, and social stability is a critical aspect of global security. Oil price spikes caused by war often lead to higher inflation. As energy costs rise, so do the prices of goods and services across the economy. Central banks may respond by raising interest rates, which can slow growth and increase borrowing costs for businesses and consumers. In response to rising oil prices, some governments introduce subsidies or reform energy policies. While subsidies can shield consumers from immediate price hikes, they can strain public finances and discourage energy efficiency. Reforms may focus on promoting alternatives or improving market transparency. Wars and sanctions can create opportunities for black market oil trading and smuggling. These illegal activities can undermine official markets, reduce government revenues, and contribute to further instability. Black market oil often sells at a discount, but it comes with significant risks and challenges. Beyond economics, wars that disrupt oil supplies can have serious humanitarian consequences. Fuel shortages can hamper relief efforts, limit access to food and medicine, and worsen living conditions for affected populations. The human cost of oil price shocks is an important but often overlooked aspect of conflict. History shows that wars and oil prices are closely linked. Each conflict brings new challenges and lessons for governments, businesses, and consumers. By studying past events, we can better prepare for future disruptions and develop strategies to manage risk and ensure energy security. Looking ahead, the relationship between war and oil prices will remain complex and dynamic. New technologies, changing energy policies, and evolving geopolitical landscapes will all play a role. While it's impossible to predict every conflict, understanding the mechanisms at work can help us navigate future challenges. To reduce vulnerability to oil price shocks, countries and businesses are investing in resilience. This includes diversifying energy sources, improving efficiency, and building stronger supply chains. These efforts can help cushion the impact of future wars and ensure more stable markets. Consumers can also adapt to higher oil prices by using energy more efficiently, switching to alternative fuels, or changing travel habits. While these changes may be challenging, they can help reduce the impact of future price spikes and promote long-term sustainability. International cooperation is essential for managing the impact of war on oil prices. By working together, countries can share information, coordinate responses, and develop joint strategies to stabilize markets. Cooperation can also help prevent conflicts and promote global energy security. In summary, the impact of war on oil prices is profound and far-reaching. From supply disruptions and market speculation to inflation and social unrest, the effects touch every corner of the globe. By understanding the mechanisms at play and learning from history, we can better prepare for the challenges ahead. Whether you're a policymaker, business leader, or everyday consumer, staying informed and adaptable is key to navigating the uncertainties of a world where war and oil remain closely linked.